Hi, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of Uplift Communities. We're so excited to have you here tonight. And part 3 is about how to legally protect your business. Once again, this is all made possible with our partnership with Uplift Communities, with Julius Caranda, who is a double alum, along with Achambaro Atande Esquire. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and leave it off to Julius and Achambaro.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hera. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to have you. This is our legal workshop. So it's going to be a little bit different from before because legal has so many intricacies. So we're really going to be more informative during this process. But what we want you to do is think about how this applies to you and what legal entity or items you would use for yourself. So we always want you working. We don't want you just sitting and taking notes. We want you applying this to your own business, all right? So with that said, I always have to start off by saying, again, thank you so much to Hera, Megan, and Roseanne for putting this together, for coordinating everything. I can tell you, you have to thank them when you see them, email them, everything you can do, because we deal with a lot of schools and they have went way above and beyond for you, and they really care about you. So please reach out to alumni relations and please reach out to alumni engagement, because they're really trying to make your lives better, open you up to new career opportunities, and really connect you to the world. So please, everybody, give them a big thank you in the chat, and then we'll go from there. All right. Okay, now I'm John Jay. Once again, I have the pleasure of introducing my business partner, Julius Caranda. So he actually teaches constitutional law at BMCC, Borough of Manhattan Community College. So he's an adjunct professor. He teaches community law there. So he's tied in. He's going to show you some of the trademark and IP segments of this workshop and dive into a few other things, but we're going to talk about it really from the field of what we're doing, how you can apply it to yourself. He's super passionate about being at John Jay. I think he has a lot of stories to share. Your double alumni. Please give a big round of applause to Julius Caranda.
All right. Thank you, Achambaro. Obviously, thank you again, Hera, Megan, Roseanne, for allowing us to come and share with the alumni, my fellow alumni, and the students of John Jay. You just heard my business partner and friend, Achambaro Atande Esquire. I want to emphasize the Esquire right now because we're doing the legal workshop, right? So this is a man who, not only, went through the rigors of law school and passed an LSAT. He's an accomplished attorney. He's obviously a partner at Uplift Communities. He's a 4-time entrepreneur and investor. He's he owns an advertising and branding company based in NYC. Prior to Uplift Communities, Achambaro has volunteered his time in advising over 70 business owners bi-monthly and speaking to various groups of teenagers. Achambaro is not only accomplishing a professional world, but in his personal endeavors, his personal passions, a world traveler, jet setter. Once again, I always point out, has really nice suits all the time. Every time I run into him, sometimes it makes me look bad. So, but obviously, he's a graduate of Vanderbilt Law School, has his Juris Doctorate from there, as well as a bachelor's from the University at Albany. All right. So the next thing I want to jump into, if this is your first time here, or if this is your second or third time attending a workshop, we want to know, what's your idea? What's your business idea? If you could just type it in the chat, share with everyone, what do you have going on? What are your thought process? Even if you started out before with your business, or this is at you're at the beginning stages, just the idea stages, please just let us know in the chat. So I'm seeing already clothing line. Okay. Clothing line. Okay. 2. Okay. Route 2. Okay. 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 Reentry organization to assist formerly incarcerated citizens. And I'm seeing cybersecurity training. And I'm okay. And I'm seeing people that have come back, are returners of to our workshop. So it's good to see you here. Hopefully, we're going to see you in the future. Matcha tea company. Okay, I just was drinking some matcha tea earlier, so that's good. I always appreciate that. Reentry organization. Okay, handcrafted items. Contemplation stage. Holistic goods. Okay, people development. I'm seeing some really great ideas. Honestly, has anyone made any progress since we started from last time? Have you all? I know, if you've been in the first or the second one and you started your idea, we showed you the visual business plan. We sent out the workshops. Has any of you made any progress in your development? Have you done some research? Have you reached out to clients? Have you made some money? Because we want to cut. No, I'm kidding. But no, have you? But it's in all seriousness. Have you all made some progress in your pursuits? Doing more research. Okay. So it's important. Research is important. Research is key. You want to do your homework. All right. Personal fitness trainer. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it. Julius is kidding. I'll take a cut though. I like stock. So you don't have to Cash App Venmo me. Just give me a few shares of stock. I'm happy. I like
100%. Oh, that's funny.
We want your stock.
That's funny. All right, let's see. Okay, so Chloe, okay. All right, still researching. A lot of people still researching. All right. So one thing I do want to address, just a little disclaimer, because this is marketed as a legal workshop. This presentation and any visual aids or handouts, presentation materials have been prepared by Uplift Communities, LLC. They have been gathered from sources generally considered to be reliable. Any information given is intended to provide basic and general information and is not legal advice. None of the Uplift Community staff or Uplift Communities owners, employees, or partners make any representation or warranty to or assumes any responsibility to the accuracy and completeness of the presentation materials. By attending this presentation, you agree to hold harmless and release any liability whatsoever, and not to pursue any claim or cause of action against Uplift Communities person in connection to this presentation, the presentation materials, or the speakers. You agree to perform your own due diligence. Nothing in the presentation is legal advice. You should speak with a lawyer. Each person here has unique circumstances that will affect the advice that should be given. So with all that said, please do not sue us. Do not try to take us to Judge Judy. Oh, that's small. We're giving some good information, but don't take this as actual legal advice. If you have your own special circumstances, you should seek your own attorneys and get that advice, because I think that's important, and that's something we're going to dive into today. All right, and just the expectations. So expectations for today: introduce you to the legal aspect of your business. We will explain the major differences between legal entities. We will introduce you to intellectual property. We will talk about partnerships and how to form them. What we need from you, we need feedback. We will need you to complete a Google survey at the end of the workshop. This will help us improve our service to you and other students in the future. We also have 20-minute consultations at $100 per session. As a special initiative, we will raffle one 20-minute consultation. Now, this is, I've been saying this for the last two workshops. This is as a special gift to my fellow John Jay alumni and students. We'll be raffling off a 20-minute consultation. The winner will be announced at the beginning of the next session. If more than 60% of you respond, we will do 2 consultations. If 90% or more respond, we will select 3 people. All right, so I'm just gonna kick it to a Chumbro.
Yeah, let me add something a little bit to go back. So we haven't gotten to the 60 or 90% mark yet, but a few of you have been very dedicated in filling out the surveys. So in trying to figure out what we can do, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to send another survey, but we're going to do it in email. Hera will send out the email instead of the link in the chat. And with this one, we want to ask you a question, and we want to do a poll of whether you prefer to do a 20-minute consultation. That's just a one-on-one, or we can possibly take on 3 students. And as you know, we're going to create our YouTube channel. And so 3 of you, we're going to have all of you on together for an hour with us, and we'll just be answering your questions. And then other students can see it as well. So we want to kind of see if you would like to do that instead of doing the 20 minutes, one person getting 20 minutes. Instead, 3 people would be able to do the, 3 people would be able to do the YouTube session with us, and we'll love to talk to you. And then as always, those who filled out the forms before, we will weight it. So you'll get a bonus in terms of for filling out the previous surveys. All right? Okay. So just as a recap, you know the last thing we did, and I'm just going to stick on this for about 5 seconds. The last thing we did is we did the visual business model for the last 2. So if you haven't heard of this, please ask everybody else what went on with this. Please go use it, create your business plan, and let's move forward. Now we're going to dive into legal. So this is how you create your value. Now let's teach you about how to make sure you keep the value you create. All right? So wanted to really start off with the overview of law and its purpose, especially with in terms of corporate law, meaning business law. So really the purpose is to protect you by reducing your risk. Anybody, write 1 if you've heard of limited liability, 2 if you have not. While I'm looking for 1s and 2s, Edgar, I saw you asked about my suit and you just popped on my screen. So I will answer your question. This suit I actually got, I was in Bangkok, Thailand. I have a video with that on actually the YouTube channel. I'll put it on the Uplift Communities channel too. I had a tailor out there make this suit in Bangkok. So I hope that answers your questions, but I like Indochino. So you don't have to go to like a special Indochino. I think it's a great place, but they're not paying me, so I'm not saying any more names. Just all right. So to reduce risk, all right. A lot of you have heard of that. That's great, good, and also to clarify benefits. So what you want to do is know what you get, what you keep, what you own, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the basic framework I want you to think of. Thanks, Edgar. That's the basic framework I want you to think of when thinking about legal. All right?
All right. So the next aspect that we want to get into is corporate shield. So there are 3 major types of legal entities: corporation, limited liability, LLC company, which I'm sure you more commonly referred to as LLC, and sole proprietorships. So the key purpose of incorporating or setting up LLC is to achieve protection for personal assets from third party claims. The corporate and LLC structure allows a person to protect personal assets from claims of creditors, employees, and of often tax agencies, provided the claimant is not allowed to ignore corporate structure by piercing the corporate veil. Although that essentially means, I'm sure many of you heard of bankruptcy, right? You know, our current president in chief had some prior issues with bankruptcies in the past, right? However, the key thing I think people kind of get misconstrued is they think he may have personally filed for bankruptcy, but his businesses did. And what that means is when your business files for bankruptcy, you may not be personally liable for your debt. So I can, you know, and we used, for example, we had the tea company example for our last workshop, you know, Uplift Communities Teas. If we have a tea company and let's say we take out loans and we default on these loans, we don't pay it back, obviously our creditors want to come back and get their money. They're not going to come to Julius and the Chumbros bank accounts, especially Julius, because I ain't got nothing in there, you know. But they'll come, uh, they'll come for us, right? But they're going to come after, so we can file for bankruptcy and be absolved if we have our T organization, right? So these are the things that people, you know, really want to understand. This is very important if you are starting a business, because you want to make sure that you're not personally liable for anything your business does, and you also have to be careful with that, because it's also, you have to make sure that you're still following the law. So you can't go commit a crime with your business and still be fine, right? Case example, Bernie Madoff. I'm sure we've all heard of Bernie Madoff, who was one of the top Wall Street people in the 90s, early 2000s, made a lot of money, but he was essentially running a pyramid scheme where he would obtain people's money, and he wasn't really investing it. He was just saying he was investing it. And once the 2008 crash happened, he was able to, he was essentially found out that he was running the pyramid scheme. And so he couldn't just say, hey, listen, I'm filing for bankruptcy, leave me alone. They put him in jail. I think he's doing like 100 and something years. So that's another thing I want to make sure that you all understand, is that, you know, you want to protect yourself by forming an LLC, corporation, sole proprietorship. However, you also want to make sure that you're not doing anything fraudulent. You're not committing anything that you're not committing any white collar crimes or any criminal activities, and you're really running your business under the guidelines of the specific laws of your location of your business. Just, you know, and just on some statistics to help you understand, you know, just the bankruptcy. So, you know, in 1.6 million individuals and companies filed for bankruptcy in September of 2010. And once I say that just to give you a context, because that was 2 years after the 2008 recession. Obviously people were going through financial trouble, and that forced a lot of individuals and companies to, they weren't generating revenues like that, and they had to essentially file for bankruptcy. Another thing, and just to juxtapose that, only 770,000 individuals and companies filed for bankruptcy back in 2018, right? So you should see that disparity. So I just want to make sure that especially right now in the time of COVID-19, a lot of companies are facing economic issues. So you just also want to be aware of the outside circumstances that are happening when you're doing business. Things can happen that's beyond your control. You want to make sure that you're protecting yourself and your business. You're not just doing things on your own in your own name, because that can come to haunt you.
Okay, so let's jump into corporations. All right. Now, let me see. One, if you've heard of a corporation before. Two, if you've heard of a corporation and an LLC before. And three, if you have not. It's all good. Okay. All right. I see a lot of twos. Okay. Two. All right. So I would also like to know, which is your favorite? Which one do you hear about the most? LLC, corporation, sole proprietor. All right. Which is your favorite? I'm seeing a lot of LLCs here. Okay. All right. Corporation. All right, Joanne. See, one person loves corporations. Let's see. Okay. So I'll let you all go with that. LLC, S Corp. All right. LLC protects you more, I think. And totally, you're the one with the food. I haven't forgotten about you. FYI also, I put in plugs for myself. Those of you, I saw somebody said Dominican food. I need some Dominican food. I need all these food places that are around. I need you to remember my face, so when I walk, I'll pay, but I need a little bit extra. Okay, I need a little bit extra. All right, so just remember me, remember Julius, remember Roseanne, Hera, remember all of us. All right, Megan too. It was just her birthday, so she needs something too. All right. So let's jump in. So all right, I know you got, but Antola, you're all the way in Tennessee. So I'm going to hold you to that. Uh, so the major difference is tax treatment, right? Ownership limitations and liability limits. So that's the major difference. Newark, I'll be in Newark. My girlfriend's in Hoboken, so don't worry. It's quick. I will be in Newark. So the major difference is tax treatment, ownership limitations, meaning who can be an owner, and liability limits, meaning how much protection do you have from liability. All right. So we're going to jump into first with corporations. Okay, with the C corp. So a C corp, that is the entity that will provide the most protection for you out of any of these entities. It also allows for you to have more ownership structure, a better ownership structure. So unlike everything else, C corps do not have a limitation on how many owners you can have. Every other, I guess LLCs don't have a limitation, but practically it's very hard to have really more than 20 LLC owners, okay? So, but C corporations, so that's where you see your big Fortune 500s, the companies that are on the stock exchange. So ownership is really by you buying a share or something. You are an owner of a corporation. Some companies are public, some are private, but it allows for easier ownership structure because unlike other entities that we'll talk about later, you don't have to write a contract for every new owner. Essentially, by having a note, equity share, minimal activity business. Okay. So by having a share of equity, you are an owner without having to sign a document. So it makes it a lot easier for there to be millions, if not billions of owners in terms of your company, all right? So specific things, you're allowed to write off more with a corporation than you are with most other entities. So meaning tax write-offs. As Julius just said, I try to stay away from politics, but as Julius just said, a lot of you saw the president's tax information paying $750, right? You think that's crazy, but with companies, you're allowed to do that. Sometimes with LLCs too, you're able to do that. And nobody likes paying more tax. I don't care which side you are, nobody wants to pay more tax. So knowing how to be able to take off right deductions and able to make sure you're paying less to the IRS is helpful because you can use that money to further your business, okay? Write 5 if you heard of double taxation before, 6 if you have not. Okay, so double taxation is essentially when you're taxed at 2 levels. So one of the things people don't like with corporations, and excuse me, I see we have a typo there, so excuse me for that. One of the issues people don't like with corporations, you're taxed on 2. One, the corporation itself is taxed, and then also the shareholders, when you receive money or profit, dividends, etc., you are also taxed. So that's what is called double taxation, all right? So there's many reasons why you may prefer a corporation, but in terms of double taxation, you may also say, if you're making below a certain threshold, it might make more sense for you to go with an entity that does not double tax. However, if you're starting to make over 250, 500, $1 million, then the corporate tax rate is a bit lower. And I'm not going to get too much into this. The corporate tax rate is a bit lower. So sometimes it makes more sense to do that and then get taxed on your dividend income, which can be seen as capital gains sometimes, or receivable. So then you're taxed at a lower tax rate. So it depends. It really depends what you want to do. All right. So next we're going to talk about S corporations. All right. So an S corporation is essentially, it's similar to a C corporation. However, there's more limits. One of the benefits is it doesn't have double taxation. So it's a pass-through entity, which means it's only taxed at your personal level. So that means any profits that are attributable to you, you just pay them directly. The corporation is not taxed and you're taxed, all right? It acts as if there's no corporation there, and then you receive the money directly. All right. The benefit of that is, one, you can, so actually I'm going to say from this angle, because I think this is the best, easiest way to understand it. I would say an S corporation and LLC make more sense if you're in your first or second year of doing business, because typically during that time period, most businesses aren't making money. If anything, they're losing money. And so those losses you can pass through to yourself. So if you have another job or if you have another business that's doing well, now you can lower the income you make. And so kind of give yourself a discount. So that's when S corporation is great for you. The issue with this is you have to be so C corporations are great because you don't have to be a US citizen, you don't have to be a US resident. There's other rules, but it's flexible in that way in terms of you can have ownership without having citizen status in the US or resident status in the US. Versus S corporation, you either have to be a US citizen or resident. So you want to think about that as well. Also, you're only allowed to have 75 owners. So 75 shareholders. Shareholders, owners, same thing. You're only allowed to have 75 shareholders. So if you want to have more, S corporation is not a great thing for you. It's a beautiful blend of being a C corp and an LLC in terms of, I'll explain it better when we get to LLCs, but what happens with S corporations is that you have the same benefit of being able to issue shares versus having to write in a new contract for everybody else who becomes a member or owner. All right. So I'll explain, it's easier to explain when I give you the contra example, and LLC would be a good example to do that. All right. Now, please, if you have any questions, please write them down. We're going to address questions at the end, but just so we can know going forward and we can be able to jump into questions as we do that. All right. So let's get to limited liability company, the one that most of you know of. All right. So a limited liability company is not better than a C corporation. All right. It's really whatever, different entities are good depending on what type of business you're in. Real estate, most real estate is in LLCs because of the pass-through status and things like that. And you don't need a lot of shareholders for that typically. But depending on the industry or how many shareholders you want, members, excuse me, that's what you're going to decide between an LLC, S corporation, and C corporation. There's other variations of that, but I'm just going to stick on those three major ones. All right. So one of the things I like, so Uplift Communities, we're an LLC. All right. So we don't have to file, well, LLCs don't file corporate tax returns. All right. So you don't have to, you can, but you don't have to. So you can just file it on your personal income statement, income return. So instead of having to do that, jump through all of that, you can just say, okay, my LLC made this amount of money or lost this amount of money. And your individual tax preparer can take care of that for you. All right. Also, it's a cool entity for people without a social security number. We might get into that a little bit more when we do our undocumented immigrants workshop, if we do our undocumented immigrants workshop. But so there's something called a TIN, which is a substitute for a social security number that will allow you to work or allow you to create an LLC and process it with the government. All right. So there's no limit on the amount of members, but now I'm going to explain a little bit why being an LLC is problematic, right? So LLC, what you have is your operating agreement. And every time you have a new member, you have to write them, you have to change a contract. Who here write 8 if you've ever written or negotiated a contract before. Write 9 if you have not. And put 6 if it makes you tired. If you've even seen a contract and you don't feel like reading it or it makes you tired.
Okay, seen a lot of 6s, seen a lot of.
every time you add something, you may change it in a way that really throws off the stability of the contract. So typically, if you have, I'll say, even if you have more than 10 people, I wouldn't want to do an LLC. Speak to a lawyer about this. That's what we recommend. Disclaimer, you have to speak to a lawyer for your specific instance, but that's what I would suggest. All right, so with that said, let's jump into sole proprietors. All right, I want you all to be honest with me. Who here is a sole proprietor right now? You can write 1 if you're a sole proprietor, 2 if you have an LLC. And if you don't have an LLC or corporation, that means you're sole proprietor if you're running businesses. All right. Orson, Abraham, Charlotte's 1. Vanessa, LLC. That's true, Vanessa. You can change. So you can change. You don't have to stick in it. You can move up from LLC to C Corp, or you can change from C Corp to LLC. All right. Great point. 1, LLC. All right. So typically when we speak to a lot of, do these workshops and speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, it's typically sole proprietors. And unfortunately, people have been told that's okay. So I'm saying no. So don't be a sole proprietor. That doesn't mean don't start off as one. I'd rather you start and get going than just wait to become incorporated. However, the reason why I say no, because when you're a sole proprietor, you have no liability protection at all. None, nothing. So you have no corporate shield. They can directly sue you. They can directly take your house, your assets, whatever. Those of us who are a bit older, no, I wish I had an LLC for student loans. So how to kick that out. But so when they can go, when you personally have a liability, whether it's debt or a lawsuit or anything like that, it's better you just don't want to be a sole proprietor. There's so much problems. You're sweating. If you have children, then it gets messy. All right. So be an LLC. There's also things you can do with LLC, C Corps in terms of actually, okay, I have to be careful. Once again, speak to a lawyer because there's ins and outs to all of this. But there's ways actually, if you have an LLC, depending on what entity you have, not a sole proprietor, you can actually pay your children a salary that's tax deductible. And so you don't even have to pay them. You can keep in a bank account for them and just be able to write that off. And they're already expense if you have them, or they're already expense. So being able to use that and take out money pre-tax is an amazing benefit. No, you can't. Vanessa, I wish you can put your student loan under LLC. You can't. I really wish. All right, so that's a bit about that. Can you create an LLC without a lawyer? Yes, you can. I don't advise it, but yes, you can. Okay, I have to be careful. I don't advise LegalZoom. I really don't. I advise that you talk to a lawyer because there are questions you don't even know to ask. Okay, questions you don't even know to ask. Different industries have other regulations that you have to do in order to file an LLC or in order to file a corporation, or actually what you can become depending on the industry you are or the practice you practice. So be very careful. All right. But yes, you can create an LLC. You can create anything without a lawyer. You're doing it without a professional. So there's something you might miss. And if you're trying to protect your liability or be clear about your ownership, you typically want to have a lawyer doing that for you. All right. Yep, you should put homes on exactly, Roseanne. You should put homes on the LLCs. That is something you definitely should do. Thank you, Roseanne. All right, we're going to jump into intellectual property with Julius, and we can come back to this on questions.
All right. Yes. So intellectual property. I'm sure many of you have heard this terminology before. IP. It's extremely important topic to discuss, especially right now. We're living in a technological world. So essentially, intellectual property is a set of intangible assets So tangible means something you can physically touch. Tangible, you know, if you have like a product, if you sell t-shirts, if you sell makeup, those are your tangible assets. Your IP though is intangible. You cannot touch it. It's more of an idea. These are things that, like, let's say you come up with an invention, right? So a perfect example, Apple, right? Apple, the way they're designed their products, their Apple product, their idea of the iPhone is not the physical iPhone. The idea of the iPhone is where they have assets, which makes their company extremely valuable. You know, so so companies are very, very diligent when identifying and protecting intellectual property, because it holds so much high value in today's, you know, especially today's economy. Extracting value from intellectual property and preventing others from deriving value from it is an important responsibility for any company. Intellectual property can take many forms. You know, although it's an intangible asset, intellectual property can be far more valuable than a company's physical assets, right? So case in point, Apple, you have other, you know, or Samsung, because I think there was at one point, there were some discrepancies between Apple and Samsung in terms of their who came up with what idea first. You know, these things are, and for another example, right, we have, this is something similar, but like music, right? So music, people deal with, if you're a songwriter, you're coming up with an idea. If you know, I don't know if any of you, you know, if you make music, if you're dealing in the music industry, but that's a big deal as well, right? Just who's the creator of the song, the contents of the song, the melody. You know, obviously in rap, you know, I'm a big rap music fan, so they sample music a lot. I was just listening to David Bowie earlier, and I was like, oh, I know this. This is, you know, Puffy and Mace. They sample this, right? So, but in order to make that song, they had to pay David Bowie. That's his intellectual property. He got paid, even though, you know, Diddy and Mace performed the record, right? So all these things play out in every day. You have to protect your idea. Yes, somebody said Samsung and Apple had legal issues suing each other. So yes, so I'm just going to dive into the types of intellectual property. So you have copyright. Copyright provides authors and creators of original material the exclusive right to use, copy, or duplicate their material. Authors of books have their works copyrighted, as do musical artists, as we just spoke about. A copyright also states that the original creators can grant anyone authorization through a licensing agreement to use that work. Another example, right? So I'm sure you're all familiar with Spotify. Spotify just did a deal with the popular podcaster Joe Rogan. So they licensed his podcast. They didn't actually buy it, right? So meaning, like, he still owns the intellectual property. He still owns Joe Rogan's podcast. But he said, you know, for, I don't know the exact term of the deal, but for a certain amount of years, you know, Spotify has a license to be a distributor of Joe Rogan's content. And that's but he's so he still has ownership, but they wanted his podcast so bad they agreed to just have it for a couple of years. Another example, we all grew up watching movies on, you know, things on like TNT and TBS and HBO. The people that produce movies, they license out that product, their movies, to different TV networks, and they get a percentage of the money. So just giving you all some examples. Patents. So a patent is a property right for an investor that's typically granted by a government agency, such as the U.S. Patent Office, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. The patent allows the inventor exclusive rights to the invention, which could be a design, process improvement, or physical invention such as a machine. Technology and software companies often have patents for their designs. For example, the patent for a personal computer was filed in 1980 by Steve Jobs and 3 other colleagues at Apple. Right, so patents, you know, people, if you want to, have you have a very unique idea and you feel as though this no one has ever thought about this, right? You go into the patent and trademark office, and you make sure you get that filed. That's super important. You don't want your ideas to be stolen. Not and I don't want to discourage anybody, but if you're selling sneakers, somebody's came up with the idea of a sneaker before, but unless it's like some new technology, unless you have like, you figured out how to rocket power in your sneakers. You may, but for the most part, and I say all that, I'm saying that jokingly, but you also want to make sure that you're not wasting your time and potentially hiring an attorney for an idea that pretty much somebody already has, right? So you want to make sure you're doing your research and you're not just patenting things or going out the trouble to patent stuff just for the heck of it. Then we come to trademarks. A trademark is a symbol, phrase, or insignia that is recognizable and represents a product that legally separates it from other products. A trademark is exclusively assigned to a company, meaning the company owns a trademark so that no others may use or copy it. A trademark is often associated with the company's brand. For example, the logo and brand name of Coca-Cola, which is owned by Coca-Cola Company. We all know the trademark, obviously famous trademarks, the Nike check. We have, is it the Adidas? I don't know what it's like, 3 lines.
Right.
We have, so there's so many, exactly, just do it, all these different, we see it all the time, right? Every company, McDonald's, the golden arches, everybody has, Coming to America is a great movie. Oh, I see that, Roseanne. But yes, examples of company trademarks. These are things that identify you, that brand you, brand your company, and people can easily identify it, right? These are very important. These are your intellectual property. These are things that you want to protect. It's not physical. It's not something you can touch, but it's your ideas. These are things that that may be worth even more than, let's say if you have like a piece of machinery or an office space or things like that, right? So next thing we're going to jump into is partnerships. So let Achumbro speak on that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to quickly clarify. So do you copyright or trademark a logo? You trademark a logo. And I want to...
Okay, I think Achumbro froze a little bit. He's back.
Oh, so nobody heard what I just said. Okay, so I wanted to clarify. So one, I answered your question. So you trademark a logo. You don't copyright a logo, you trademark a logo. But I also want to clarify for patents. Patents are typically around inventions. So song lyric is not an invention. So I don't want to get into a tighter definition because I think the concept of invention is probably the best concept that I can get to define it this quickly, but that's what I really want to clarify for all of you. All right. So now let's get into partnerships. So I saw somebody said before, please let Roseanne, let Hera, let everyone know what happened. Somebody said they have a new partner from one of these workshops. They found their business partner. So that's exciting. Definitely want that to go out in alumni news. That's awesome. And that's what a lot of you should be, whoever's in here, whoever's paying attention, who's coming back, you all should be reaching out and networking and collaboration. But let's talk about partnerships. So there's a great passage that I like, and I'm going to quote it here. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have good return for their labor. If either falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they'll keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be powered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands are not easily broken. So I say that to say this, man, partnership is important. Partnership is important. It can really help you go forward. It can help you protect yourself. It can help you overcome. I'm telling you, Julius is an amazing business partner. I'm not just saying that because he's on the screen with me, but Julius is an amazing business partner and a lot that I couldn't do without him. And he's able to pick me up when I fall down and I'm able to pick him up when he falls down. So it's a really good system to have. All right. But with partnership, let's dive into actually what you need to talk about. All right. So we're going to talk about things you have to cover. All right. So ownership. Who owns what, right? Who owns what? You have to be very clear about this with whoever you decide to get it in writing, have a contract. Once again, get it in writing, have a contract. Obviously, people, you see what happens with business deals. You see people say, oh, I used to own this company, it was stolen from me. I don't know if any of you watched the movie Facebook, what happened with that. Or even actually Facebook has two of them, but I'm not going to talk too much more because I do my ads through Facebook, so I don't want to have to pay. I don't want to be banned from that, but go watch that, go learn about that, and other business ventures. So many times if you don't have if things are in writing, people can just say, hey, we didn't agree to that. Or sometimes it's not even bad. Well, some people just forget. Like, honestly, I'll tell you a story. The reason why I went to law school, I actually created a company in undergrad. I don't talk about this company. I don't even include that I created a company. It was kind of like BuzzFeed, before BuzzFeed, right? But I believe like students, like college kids, I was in college. I believe we read, but we don't like reading like traditional newspapers. We need the information to be changed, like, and relatable to us. So I did that, and long story short, allowed somebody else to come into the business and help out because he had something I couldn't do. The guy tried to run and say this business is his and X and Y, Z. And then I realized that was my fault because I didn't have a proper contract in place. And that's when I said, I'm going to law school because I'm going to have more ideas, and this isn't going to happen to me again or anybody that I care about. All right. So typically I say that to let you know, personal story, you need to have a contract. You need to negotiate these things out. 2, duties and responsibilities. Who has to do what? Who is responsible for this and that? So, all right, is somebody responsible for hiring people? Is somebody responsible for doing creating the product? Is somebody responsible for giving out the service? Is somebody responsible for marketing, et cetera, et cetera? Okay. 3, how will decisions be made? Okay. What's going to happen? How are you all deciding? These are things you want to say beforehand because it can get messy. All right. People keep messaging me privately, so I'm going to ask the whole group so I can just respond. It doesn't seem weird if I answer. But Joel Vanderbilt, he asked what law school did I attend. So termination, what will happen if the business ends or if a partner wants to leave, right? So these are things that you need a contract, especially before the money comes, or even if the money's not coming. Because like once $1 million hits that bank account, people are gonna say, that looks good, right? Evelyn, if you sell 500,000 of those jewelry pieces, you're gonna want if you have a business partner, they're gonna say, hey, I like that. So you need to be really clear about who gets what, all right? And 5, time, right? Over what time will things be done? So time in terms of, okay, sometimes you have ownership that vests over time, but you want to understand like time frame of the company and really set like the objectives. Okay, how long do you think it'll take to grow? What do you think is the process? What are the steps we're going to take over the next few years? You want to be clear as possible with your partners to make sure you both have the same vision and understanding. Because typically businesses take longer than you expect to get off the ground and running. All right. So please. Oh, thank you, Roseanne. Please take the time to do this now. All right. So Julius had this great point, and that's on the corner. What about opening a business with your spouse, family member, or friend? I'll say be double conscious if you're going to do that, because we typically tend to let down our guards with our loved one. At the end of the day, it's business. It's business. And no matter how much you love somebody, you have to separate business from, I don't want to say business from love, but you have to separate business from your familial or friendship feelings. Because typically, sometimes family members won't do it as, I'm trying to put this in a nice way. Family members wouldn't be as professional as you'd like them to be, right? They may just say, hey, we'll figure it out later. So you may not align it.
Okay, I think but to reiterate his point, yes, doing business with a spouse or family member, very, very tricky. Very, 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 very tricky. I think very tricky to do business with a spouse or a partner or a family member, just because you never really you have inherent trust with that person, right? This is somebody that you have to build a long relationship with. So it may intuitively make sense. Hey, we're going to go into business with one another. However, things can get murky. People can take each other for granted, and you're not really making. And then another thing, you may not actually have that contract. I've always seen a discussion about, that tricky discussion about having the talk about having the prenuptial agreement, right? So imagine now you go to your partner and say, hey, listen, can we drop a contract where I own this percentage, you own this percentage, and things can get murky, and especially if things end poorly, then you can potentially damage the whole relationship. So you definitely want to make sure that it's that you, and we're not saying don't do it. Obviously, you make your own decisions, whatever you feel comfortable with. But we're just giving you just some insight as to how that can, just be careful. Oh wow, okay. So Evelyn says, in my first business I opened with my sister-in-law, and unfortunately we sold it, but she did a bad business. And yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stories like that. I'm sorry that happened, Evelyn.
Yeah.
Really.
And thank you, Julius. So this is part of the reason why you see having good business partners, right? You fall down, they pick you up. You fall down, they pick you up. And you're right, Roseanne. I'm going to call them out. It's Optimum. They were so good to me before, but after they got bought, they haven't been good to me. So Optimum, I don't know. I used to love Optimum. But yes, that's what's going on. But yes, Roseanne, sorry that happened to you. I know I saw somebody, Vanessa, are we going to be cover creating an operating agreement? So unfortunately, typically we do the legal workshop as a three workshops, and then we get deeper into actually creating some agreements and doing some things, but we don't have enough time for that. But once again, talk to John Jay, let them know that you'd like us to do that, and we can come back and do a lot more. We'll do branding, etc., business agreements, NDAs. So corporations have something called the charter, creating charters for that, etc. And we can actually show you like the key elements to put through in. But we typically do this at 3 parts because it's so much. Even now you see us, like we're running out of time and we're now at the end. Even now, there's just so much to cram in. So unfortunately, we're not going to do that now, but let us know. Well, let John Jay know. All right. Evelyn, yep. Evelyn suggests more sessions. We love that. Verizon Fire, so I'm thinking about switching. All right, Julius.
All right. So, definitely please take our survey in order to potentially win the $100 consultation. This is a priceless, when I say priceless, consultation. You're getting our IP, right? You're getting our minds. Invaluable information from the both of us. We'll be able to give you a straight, hands-on idea of exactly what you should and should not be doing. We give you advice, and we can really, its potential to really bond with us on a offline without just having to do the workshop. We can be one-on-one, and we're focused on you solely. So please take that survey and win the 20-minute consultation, because I want to do well for my John Jay compatriots. All right. All right. So who wants to share what they've worked on so far, right? Who wants to give if you want to take yourself off of mute, just give us, I think Evelyn had the pleasure of sharing last time. If there's anyone on the Zoom call who wants to okay, see, Antoli. All right. Let's go with Antoli. You want to share?
And speaking of Antoli, actually, sorry, I forgot to mention this. You're the one who won the 20-minute consultation from last time. So congratulations.
All right, cool.
And thank you. We saw it helped you filled out both surveys. So that gave you double the amount of raffle tickets. So thank you for that.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you guys for the opportunity. Real quick, I am a New York native. I am a John Jay alumni, and I'm back again doing my master's degree. So a couple years back, my wife and I, we moved to Tennessee, came here, and there was just a diverse culture in the college campus that's about 5 minutes away from us. So I am from the island of Jamaica, and my wife is from Trinidad. So we just decided to do a fusion, and we invited a couple of students to our house. And by the time we took a look behind us, it was about 120 students at our door. Enough said. We kept it going for about 2 months, and we did pop-ups around the county. And we just kind of blew up kind of overnight. We're trying to maintain and just keep business afloat, but due to COVID right now, we're kind of at a standstill. Most of our shared kitchen spaces here in Hamilton County are closed due to health reasons for COVID. So we're just using this time to kind of restructure and rebrand in terms of making our company more into a cultural, diverse, and identifying entity. So when we do have our pop-ups again next year, you'll see more t-shirts, more branding material, stuff of that nature. So right now we're just in a replanning phase. My wife and I were expecting our second child, so it's a bit chaotic.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, so I hope you're using, I hope you have an LLC or a C Corp. If you don't, just jump on it, no worries.
Yeah, I'm at a sole right now, so I'm thinking about switching to LLC, yeah.
Okay, do that. Second, I hope you use that, I dive into actually using that provision, which allows you to set aside a salary for your children, your children, all right?
Yeah.
So make sure you use that. Awesome.
You.
So have you been able to trademark your business yet? Also, actually, before letting everybody know, you can trademark before you create an LLC, okay? So when I say trademark your business, I mean trademark your name or your logo.
Right.
So you can actually trademark before you create an LLC. It's a little bit cleaner if you do it afterwards because you just put it, you file it as the name for the LLC. Excuse me, you file it as it's owned by the LLC. Later you have to transfer it, but either way it's fine. It's not an issue.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. That's probably the next phase as well.
Okay, no worries. Well, we're glad you showed up to all three, so we know you're serious. We were just talking with Hera beforehand about people who show up to 2 or 3. They're usually very serious about their business, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations, Antoli. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think we have time. I think Jeffrey White was the other person. Just unmute yourself, Jeffrey, if you want to share your business.
All right, how you guys doing today? My name is Jeffrey White. Thank you guys for the opportunity once again. I'm also a John Jay alum. I got my bachelor's from John Jay. So I am here because my connection and my love to John Jay. I've networked with a lot of you, Julius as well, at the alum networking event. So I was familiar with your work. So when I saw it, I was like excited that we get the opportunity because this is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. So my business is a candle company. So the name of it is Jay's Renewal Spiritual Growth Candles and Crystals. So one thing about me is I consider myself a millennial with all the good and the bad that comes with that label. And one stereotype that most people have when it comes to thinking of millennials is their obsession with energy and crystals. I'm one of those people. I don't have an obsession with it, but I have an understanding of energy, and that comes from my life experiences. So throughout the quarantine, I was thinking about, this is something that I was fostered, my mom fostered into me when I was younger, is always making sure that you're keeping yourself not only busy, but you always have opportunities to make sure you are creating a lifetime of longevity and financial stability for yourself and for your family. And over the years, both of my parents passed away, and I had to take on more responsibility, taking care of my younger brother, myself, and our family home. So different aspects of financial stability, I want to, build a foundation for that. So part of the reason why I created this candle company was, as I was reflecting over the quarantine, a lot of people were going through emotional trauma, and a lot of millennials, my friends, people I've known for years, who are around my age group and consider themselves millennials. So part of it is crystal infused candles by Black-owned company. There was a big movement throughout the quarantine, if you have not known, to push for Black-owned companies. So we, as people of color, are being pushed out in the forefront. So I wanted to benefit and use that to start up my company as well. So that is a little bit behind it. So the ultimate goal, or the number one goal of before I even said I wanted to do candles, was I wanted to create a subscription box. And the first ever, because I don't see any candle subscription boxes out there. I was introduced to a crystal subscription box, which gave me an inspiration behind it. So that was what my inspiration was to ultimately, wherever I go, the company goal, ultimate goal was to create a monthly candle subscription box that incorporates candles, crystals, and this spiritual renewal, like showing us out this moment that we've been through for the past few years, during this quarantine and prior. So, yeah.
All right. No.
Roseanne wanted to say something. Roseanne?
Oh no, I have announcements, so I was just trying to get in the queue.
All right. All right. Well, appreciate that, Jeffrey. Yeah, Jeffrey and I, we connected at the some of the pre-COVID alumni events. Good brother right there. So I appreciate. No, the business sounds amazing. And I hope, as a millennial, you're promoting those social media. You're obviously right. You're selling your products via Instagram.
Of course, that's the crux of my work is right. That branding and that marketing part that was which stuck out to me from the last sessions, was that building on that millennial aspect of the importance of branding and marketing and making sure I'm taking heed to and utilizing social media for my benefit. So that's where I'm at right now. I was able to build that business plan with your help, but I'm really at that stage where I'm budgeting, but also working on my business, my branding and marketing team, because I think to really launch strong and make put my stamp on whatever I'm doing, I put my all into all of it. So I have to have everything meticulously put in place. So it has to do with videography, photography, all those aspects, a combination of all of those. So that's what I'm building right now. And that's where I'm at with the combination of, I'm working on through LegalZoom for the beginning of my LLC process right now. But I kind of had some questions about that. If you have any opinions about that, please let me know. If you discourage that, please let me know. So before I continue on with that process.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Thank you so much. Wish you the best. That's hard. It's really commendable what you did, taking care of your siblings. So wish you the best. I definitely will. Feel free to connect with me through Julius. That's awesome. And I think the subscription model is brilliant. I know so many people, well, let me not say I know so many people. I know several people who really love candles. And I think creating a subscription model is a brilliant marketing / branding / profit scheme. So I definitely advise that you go into it. And I love it. Chick-fil-A, anybody know Chick-fil-A actually came to fruition because they were one of the first franchises that were in shopping malls. People always think about shopping malls, they always had food courts. No, it didn't always used to be like this, and Chick-fil-A actually maximized that. So finding a new avenue to create a business model, that's beautiful. I love it. Okay, so we're going to move on to what we need from you. So a lot of you, I heard you guys want workshops on, what was it? Somebody said, what did they say? You said operating agreements. It sounded like Jeffrey needed something on creating a marketing and branding plan. We can do a bunch more of those. Just all we need you to do is tell John Jay, let John Jay know that you want us to do more of these. So then we can come in and do a bunch of slate where we can go through, like I run a branding and advertising company. That's literally all I do. We can go through and run a whole like branding workshop, a couple of branding and advertising workshops to show you actually how to use Facebook ads and Instagram and Pinterest and Google and et cetera, like actually really show you, okay, this is how I launch an ad budget. And you can really do that with 20 bucks. You really can do it with $20. People think you need a lot more money than you do. Just start, get some sales, and then build up that way. We have a lot of exciting information on that and a bunch more, how to pitch your business. We can do 30-second pitch competitions and show you how to really present yourself, et cetera, et cetera. But now we want to give you time for questions. And we're going to introduce Roseanne back into the mix. But this is our contact information. Please keep in mind our YouTube channel that we will be creating. And we'll host a lot of great business entrepreneurs on there, a lot of great thinkers just to come. We want to expose more Black and brown people who are doing great and really let you be able to have some interaction through our interviews of them. So please keep a lookout. It'll be called Uplift Communities on YouTube. And just follow us on social media so you can kind of stay connected, and LinkedIn as well. All right. So questions, type them in. Roseanne's going to help us get to the end of this. But it was really a privilege serving all of you. Today, I maximize my screen so I can see faces. Not everybody's sure, because I love that energy, because I really wanted to see you all today. So thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Achimboro and Julius. Another great workshop. I'm so appreciative. I actually have 2 announcements, and I'm going to leave the questions to one of my colleagues because my father has called me about 5 times, and I need to get to him. Nothing emergent, but it's always an emergency to him. So I'm sure you all can understand. So I wanted to make 2 really important announcements. It is Latinx Heritage Month at the college. We have 2 very specific alumni events for everyone. It's open to everyone, but the theme is Latinx. The first one is on October 8th at 6 p.m. And Megan is going to be putting the information into the chat, so please come through. We're going to be talking about colorism and allyship. So colorism is huge in the Black community, but it is just as, if I may argue, even huger in the Latin community. And even within a family of siblings, you will have colorism, same parents, and you'll have a rainbow of children. So we're going to talk a lot about that in the workforce and in the family. And we have 5 awesome alum who will be handling that conversation and that panel discussion. Then on the 15th, we're going to close out the month with our first virtual networking event. And we really are going to do a real networking event. We've got the Latino playlist. I got the Mark Anthony, the old school Willie Colon. I got Bad Bunny. I got it all on the playlist. So there's gonna be music. And we even announcing 2 drink recipes. So you could bring your drink with you. We did a mango mojito recipe. And that's for those of you who are over 21. And there is a Mori Soñando, which is a Dominican drink recipe, which is more like a smoothie. And that's non-alcoholic for our under 21 folks. We want to be responsible. And we really would love to have you there. We're going to utilize the Zoom breakout rooms. We're going to have small rooms, just like if you were on a rooftop. So go outside to your step, go to your backyard, go wherever to the park, and you'll feel like you're on a city rooftop. And we're going to network. And I really, really want to encourage those of you who are new alums and those of you who are maybe graduating, either seniors or graduate students, to come out and meet some of your alums. Network, network, network. If I did not do networking, I never would have met Julius, and Julius would have never been doing these 3 workshops for all of you. So the network is crucial. I'm networking with Jeffrey right now. You know, he and I have networked multiple times. So I invite you to both of these events. I hope you can make it. I hope you can get something out of them. And it's been a pleasure being with you here these 3 days. And we will be in touch. And I'm going to give it to one of my colleagues who will finish up with the questions. And I will see you all at another event. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all right, all right.
All right. So So do we have, I think we have a little time for some questions. If anyone wants to type in the chat, if there are any specific questions in regards to what we talked about today, LLCs. Okay, LegalZoom. So I think Chumbo touched on the LegalZoom question before, but if you want to reiterate, or do you want to get?
Yeah, no, I say no. I say no, talk to a lawyer. Yeah, talk to a lawyer. That's really, I think what they're trying to do is really commendable, and they're making a lot of things better. But for actually creating an LLC, I wouldn't recommend them. Actually, I wouldn't recommend them from anything, but I understand, I think what they're doing is commendable. I just think there's so many issues and hiccups in law that it's just really tough to do that. So no. How long can you get a patent for, Edgar? Depends on the type of patent. So utility patent, about 20 years. Design patent, about 4 years, 14 years, excuse me. But once again, talk to a patent attorney. I'm definitely not that. So talk to a patent attorney, and some patents you can renew. All right?
All right. I think Antoli asked, how can I get ready for a pitch competition?
Ooh.
Yeah. Somebody said, watch Shark Tank. Yeah, Shark Tank can help. Yeah, I think also, I think overall practice, right? I think that's just the base of everything. Practice as much as possible, like practice to different audiences, friends, family members, or just even people that are not even, they're a little bit less biased, right? Just make sure that you're getting you're telling your story in your own way. You're actually letting the audience know, the people that are going to be listening, that that you're passionate about that. Not only passionate, but that that your idea will produce results, right? That you have a restaurant, your restaurant's good, you have a proven track record, you had college students come there, people love it. It's cultural. It's something that you and your wife, that you guys are passionate about. It's coming from your culture. So I think when people hear that, I've already heard you speak, and I'm ready to go down to was it Tennessee and get me a plate. So I think you're on the right way, but practice. I think that's the best way.
Okay, I would say that in our workshop we'll talk a little bit more, a lot more about like the structure of a pitch, starting with the problem, things like that. But as Julia said, practice, go out there and try. Typically, you're going to get rejected 100 times trying to raise money anywhere as an investor. Yeah, you just from an investor, so you want to keep on trying. All right. So Harris said, question submitted in advance. Once the business is legally protected, does that stop people from trying to profit from your business? I think the person's trying to ask whether it stops people from being able to sue you personally. So people can always profit from business. We live in a capitalist society. People profit from Amazon, right? So I think profit and being sued are different things in terms of when you hire somebody, when you employees get profit from your business. In terms of suing you, it gives you better protection. However, you commit fraud or you do something. So this is why I say we need 3 workshops. If you do something like mingling funds, you can break the corporate veil. So even if you create an LLCs, there's certain things you have to do in order to keep that protection. All right.
All right. I've had a WordPress site. Okay. Someone had a question. I've had a WordPress site for 10 years. Is my name still secured?
I don't know what she means or the person means by the name secured. Mm-hmm. It depends. Is it trademarked? No. You have a, it's hard to say. You kind of have a preemptive right to trademarking it because you've been using it in commerce. However, it's not fully authorized. Like you still can lose out if you're trying to trademark it. So if that's the question, I would say, no, it's not secured until you're actually trademarked. Okay. What if the small business is unable to afford a lawyer? So there's some pro bono services. I know there's a place in Harlem. I'm forgetting the name. We'll have a few more names for you. There's a place in Harlem. I would say piecemeal it, right? Try by yourself till you can figure it out. Ask for favors. Maybe you can do something for the business. Maybe if you own a food catering company, promise to make them enough food or whatever, right? Figure out how to barter your way there. Okay, so say that if you want, like, we're not trying to hide the ball. If you want, you can create one yourself. As I said before, you can go to DOS. So I'm going to repeat this because I know people are going to want this. DOS.ny.gov. So Department of State.NY.gov. So DOS.ny, and that's, you can just file an LLC online and have the actual LLC. You may not have it set up the way it should be set up, but you can do that. Do you have to get your business trademark? No, you do not have to get your business trademarked. That's something you do to protect your brand. So people can't go off and after you build all this goodwill. So brand is about goodwill and like your reputation market. You don't want somebody pretending to be you, right? So trademarking is like how you can protect yourself from somebody committing fraud or just stealing your company's identity. So that's really the purpose of trademarking. Yes. You're building your website, yes. And you've made sales through Instagram and person popped up. Yes, that'll be considered using in commerce. However, talk to a lawyer. But so that's, I always preface that with that. So can you copyright a t-shirt design? Sometimes. Would a small resume writing service need an LLC? Every company needs an LLC. Well, let me not say every company should be protected. Any suggestions regarding business grants? Sometimes Goldman Sachs has some business grants, a lot of large corp, Morgan Stanley, Julius can touch upon this a bit, but yeah, there's a bunch of different entities that give out business grants.
Yeah, I was just to add on to there, they're usually large corporations like Facebook's, Microsoft. They're usually Fortune 500, especially if you maybe fall into a woman minority, student. They typically try to help specific communities. Yeah. All right. I think we went a little over, but this was thank you for all that stayed on. This was amazing. This is our third and for now the end of our workshop series with John Jay. Obviously, we're looking to come back and share some more information with you all. This is amazing. I can't think of a better scenario, homecoming scenario for alumni than coming back to your college and giving out information to students and people that I've probably walked the halls with. Some of you, I probably had class with some of you guys. But Achumbo, do you want to say anything else? Obviously, thank you to Hera. Roseanne had to hop off. Megan.
Yes, thank you, Megan, Roseanne, Hera. It's like, I love this. We really love you all. John Jay, it's really been a pleasure getting to see some. I know Antoli, he's been on all three, so we've gotten to know him a bit more. Evelyn, she's been she's speaking a lot. So thank you so much for everybody who's been engaged, been commenting. We really appreciate getting to know you. I love this. I love talking to entrepreneurs, and you're starting. It's going to be a long road, a hard road, but you can do it. Keep your head up. Failing is okay. It's okay. Failing's okay. That's part of the process. All right. So keep going, and please connect with us. Please stay in touch. And most of all, don't quit. All right.
Exactly. And so I just want to round this out, just say a quick thank you to Chambaro and Julius and Uplift Communities for bringing this to life. We're so grateful to have our alumni here, especially those who came to all three sessions. Once again, we'll be sending out an email with the information, with the survey. Please give us feedback, and that'll help us determine the best sessions to offer moving forward. So thank you again so much for everyone here, and I hope everyone has a great night. Bye-bye, everyone.